Hello, and welcome to episode 75 of the Victorian Studio podcast. My name is Maureen, and I'm coming to you from my studio here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Welcome to all new and returning viewers. I hope you enjoy seeing what I have to share today. And that will be kind of light on the knitting front, I must admit. Over the last few weeks, I, like many people, have been busy preparing for the holidays. I've been doing a lot of work over the Black Friday weekend regarding my Etsy shop, as well as restocking over at the local yarn shop as well with my charms. So it's been very, very busy. I'll get into more of that a little bit later. So I hope you don't mind a little less knitting this episode. Well, first I want to thank all the new subscribers and new members of the podcast group over on Ravelry. I also want to thank Talia and Marlisha of Penhook and Needles for always mentioning my podcast on theirs. They're always so very kind to mention other people's knit-alongs, and they always mention my Harry Potter knit-alongs, so I really do appreciate it, ladies. Thank you so very much. I also want to thank Vani, our great moderator of our group. I don't know what I'd do without you, Vani. She does such a great job keeping up with all the threads over in our group, and I really do appreciate it. And I just want to say also thank you to everybody who has donated prizes to the podcast, especially over the last year. It's been wonderful. And at the end of this episode, I'll have some of those prizes to award today. Well, I guess we'll start with the toy knit-along. As you know, it's been running since October the 1st and runs until the end of this month. I can't believe it's only a couple weeks left of the toy knit-along. I'm so very honored to co-host this with the lovely ladies of Penhook and Needles, who so graciously invited me to co-host, along with Dan and Kay of the Bakery Bears. It's been great fun to see everybody's projects, so thank you everyone for your participation. And as in previous episodes, let's start out today with a little slideshow of all the toys that have been completed since the last episode. Enjoy. Those are just great. I love seeing everybody's wonderful creations. And as I mentioned at the end of the episode, I'll be drawing for 3 prizes from the entries in the Toy Knit-Along for anybody who has participated from October 1st to November the 30th, so stay tuned for those. So next up is the Harry Potter Knit-Along. This has been running since January the 1st. I can't believe the year is almost over already. It's been just astounding to see the participation in this knit-along. I never would have imagined it being so popular, and it's been great fun to see everybody's participation in the knit-along. So what I did was a little while ago I contacted Vonnie, our moderator, and kind of felt her out to see what she thought of maybe doing something very special for next year. So here's what we decided to do. Yes, that's right. Prepare yourself for year 2 at Hogwarts. I'm going to be running the Harry Potter Knit-Along for 2018 as well. So I hope everyone's as excited as I am and Vonnie to once again have a year-long knit-along based on the Harry Potter franchise. The rules will be exactly the same as the current year, and you don't have to have participated in year 1 to participate in year 2. Anybody out there that hasn't yet submitted anything for the knit-along, you're more than welcome to join us for year 2. Now, if you are working on something right now that's Harry Potter related, either using a Harry Potter named yarn or something relating to Harry Potter in any way, owls, magic, that kind of thing, or using a Harry Potter pattern. If you're working on it right now and you want to be eligible for this year's prizes, make sure you get it submitted into that thread over on Ravelry by midnight of December 31st. I will lock that thread shortly thereafter and draw prizes for all of those entries. And then starting January the 1st, we'll start all over from scratch with a brand new thread for 2018 for year 2 of the Harry Potter Cal. So I hope you can continue to join us if you have been participating. Or, as I said, if you haven't yet and you want to join us, please do. You're more than welcome. I'm so very thrilled to continue on with this because I don't think Harry Potter in any way is losing any kind of steam. With the new movies coming out still, I think there's more and more Harry Potter fans every day. So I hope you can join us for not only this year, but maybe even in 2018 for the Harry Potter Knit-Along, year 2. So also at the end of this episode, I'll be awarding a couple of prizes from the Harry Potter knit along thread as well, so stay tuned for that. All right, so I guess I'll just get right to the knitting. And I haven't done very much, and the projects that I did do were pretty small in size so that I could squeeze in at least getting some classes done in the Harry Potter house cup. And even the smallest of projects will get you points. So that's one good thing about the house cup. Not only is it inspirational in getting you to knit, it's not like you have to create large projects. And so I wanted to share with you a couple of small items that I was able to do and submit for classes. And the first one is a facial scrubby. For the potions class, we were asked to do something that was 50% or more white. So what I did was I got out my Bernat Handicrafter cotton yarn and found this facial scrubby pattern on Ravelry. It's a free pattern, and it uses very small amount of yarn, 6 grams as a matter of fact, and this was so quick. I probably did this in about an hour or so. And I thought it'd be interesting to try a little face scrubby to see how well they work. So after I show it to you, at least I'll be able to test it. But this was the resultant project that I did. It is just basically doing a round coaster style item, but with a little handle on the back. So it was very easy to do, very quick. I used US size 5 circular needles for this. And what you're supposed to do is just use it to either wash your face or remove makeup, or use it as an exfoliator. You can use different kinds of scrubs with it. So this will be interesting to use, and if it does work well, then I can always make more. So it's kind of an experiment for myself as well as getting points for the potions class. So that was one really quick points for the house cup. Oh, and speaking of the house cup, I learned today that I will be on staff again for the next term starting in January. December is a break month over there, so starting January the 1st, we'll be starting what they call the winter term for 2018, and I'm again on staff to help with badges and chocolate frog cards and lots of fun things. So I'm very honored to be on staff for Gryffindor House once again. Okay, the second project that I wanted to share with you is again another small one, but I was able to use it both in the O'Loops Harry Potter Cal and in the house cup. And I was using some yarn that I had left over in my stash that was very Harry Potter related. And that's the London House Yarns for Founders colorway, and this is all I have left of that large skein. I've used it for a few projects, and I only have 5 grams left, and it's not even all 4 houses. There's only 3 houses left, no Gryffindor, but I have Hufflepuff, Slytherin, and Ravenclaw still colorways in this little mini skein, so I'll probably end up using it for something. But I did want to make sure that I got Gryffindor, of course, in this little project. So what I decided to do was something really quick. We had to do something in one of the classes. I can't remember the prompt now, but I know in the O'Loops it had something to do with homework for preparing for exams. And so, you know, they were talking about things like textbooks and that kind of thing. So I thought, how about a bookmark? So I found the chevron bookmark pattern on Ravelry. Now this is by April Klitsch, and I retyped this. I do this often with patterns that I find, you know, if some patterns on Ravelry take you to another place, like a blog or somewhere else where it's written out, and a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just write it out myself, rewrite it and print it off so it's easier to follow. So that's what I did in this instance. So I decided to use this lightweight yarn, so I only used US 1.5 needles or 2.5 millimeter. I only used 7 grams of the yarn, and it ended up being about 26 yards in all. So I think that's a really nice, easy bookmark to do, but just a little different than doing just a straight stockinette or garter stitch. It's got a nice feature in the middle with a little bit of a lace there. And I love the chevron format that it ends up going into. So it's Gryffindor House at the top, Ravenclaw next, Hufflepuff, and then Slytherin. So I thought that was a very good bookmark for studying for your Hogwarts exams. And again, so quick and easy to do, and really fun to do a new pattern as well. So those were two really quick items to get accomplished. And the next one is something that has little projects, but I'm doing a fair amount of them, and I'm continuing to do some up until Christmas. How this all started was I was contacted by a fellow Ravelry member we're going to be sending a care package to someone who's under the weather, and so we were asked to send some 3D hearts, knitted hearts, that they're going to put all together into one package for this person. So what I did was I went on Ravelry again, of course, and looked up some patterns. There was a few patterns for 3-dimensional hearts. I hadn't done these before, but I ended up choosing one called Little Hearts by Teresa Fox. And again, what I did was I retyped this out from my own reference, because I did make a few changes to her pattern. So I think what I'll do, I'll go to my project page eventually and write these this out the way I changed it. I just changed a few of the stitches to more of my liking. After I did a few, there was a few things that I wanted to change. So what I did was I got out my Loops and Threads undyed wool. I thought it would be nice to make some cream colored hearts, and I've done a few of these, and I've done some larger ones too. They come in, you can do them in different sizes depending on just the number of stitches that you continue to do. But I've already given those away. I did 3 of them for the craft fair that I was involved in. They had a like a basket to win, like a door prize, so I added those into those. So, but I have done quite a few since then. And I think these would be good to make as ornaments. So that's why I added a long string onto them. So, well, I just left the tails long so that they could be hung. So basically it's a very simple pattern, and these are so quick to make. I think they took just a little over an hour each. You basically are using circular needles. Start at the bottom with a figure 8 cast on, which was interesting. I hadn't done that before. And then you do some increases, some regular rows, and then you cast off a couple of stitches for one lobe of the heart. Continue knitting the first lobe and then go back and do the second. And then you end up having a hole right in the middle where you stuff the heart and then just stitch it up. And as I said, I left my yarn tails long so I could just tie a knot and then make a nice long loop. And probably will hang a few of these on my tree. And I think what I'll do is, if I have time to make enough, I'll be adding these maybe to some Christmas gifts. So yeah, it was very nice to get a chance to make these, both for the gift for the Ravelry member that's under the weather, and also as a few family gifts as well. So yeah, those were really cute, easy to make. And of course you can make them in any size yarn or color or variegated. You know, the options are endless for that. So yeah, that was a really nice pattern to find. And the last project that I wanted to share with you is the largest today. It still isn't very big because I want to make sure that I get it done by the end of the year. And with everything else going on, I'm still Christmas shopping and, you know, baking, and we just finally put up our tree this weekend. So it's been very busy, but I wanted to make sure that I got the main challenge done for Gryffindor for the O-Loops Harry Potter knit along. Now in December there are many activities that you can do, but the main challenge is the largest. So I wanted to make sure that I did that. So for December, we were asked to do something that related to the house, and that is the Hogwarts house. And when you participate in the Oloops Harry Potter Cal, the only prerequisite is that you buy at least one skein of yarn from Lydia at Oloops, and that's easy to do because her yarns are just so beautiful. So over the summertime, she starts to dye up her Harry Potter related yarn colorways, and she puts together prefect kits for each of the houses. And of course, I wanted to get the Gryffindor prefect kit to be assured that I would be sorted into Gryffindor again. So when in that prefect kit is some very special Gryffindor yarn. So that's what I chose to do this main challenge in. So what I did was I went on Ravelry once again to find something that I could make fairly quickly, and I found a pattern by Tin Can Knits called the Simple Yet Effective Cowl. And it is so simple that I didn't even bother printing it out. I just made little scratches, little notes of the very simple pattern that's used to make this cowl, and just using that as my reference. So I started this a few days ago, and I'll first show you the yarn that I got from Lydia. Here's the tag for it. It's the Oloops Perfection Knot, and that's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards. And this is called Brave at Heart. And you get two skeins, so full skein of the main color and then a partial skein of a coordinating color. So those are just beautiful. I love the way those go together. And of course I could make socks out of these, which I know a lot of people would use it for, but I really didn't think I would have time to make socks this month with everything else going on. So what I decided to do was to hold the yarn double and create something different with it than socks. And that's where I came up with the cowl. And holding it double has made the cowl so very squishy. I'm really thrilled the way it's turning out so far. So I'm using US size 6 needles, and what I've decided to do, this cowl is just alternating stockinette sections with purl rows. And so what I decided to do was change the yarn for each of those. So for the purl rows, I'm using the coordinating gold color, and for the stockinette sections, I am using the main color. And I really love the way this is turning out so far. And once it's blocked, it will lie flatter. And this is the kind of project that you can do until you're happy with the size. There's really no instructions about how long you have to make it. So I'll just continue on for as long as I can. I'll see how much I can get done, and then when I'm happy with the size, then I can submit it before the end of the year. 4 points for Gryffindor House over at the Oloops group. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that and loving the way it's turning out with it held double. It's making it even thicker. So yeah, I really love the way that looks and feels. And as I said, Lydia's yarn is so beautiful. It's been a real pleasure to work with. So that's all the knitting that I have to share with you this episode. So yeah, it's at least I've had time to do a few projects to continue on in those knit-alongs. So the next thing I thought I'd talk about is some sculpting and painting that I've been doing with my charms over on my Etsy shop. It's been going very well for Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday. I was able to stock up my shop, and I had a sale going on over that weekend, and was just amazed with the amount of orders that I received. So it was just wonderful. And so I was very, very busy putting those orders together and getting them out. And I'm thrilled with the feedback that I've got from people who have purchased them, so that's been wonderful. Also, at about the same time, I got a call from Wolseley Wool asking if I could bring in some more of my charms to the shop. So I've supplied them with nearly 100 of my charms as well. So those sales are going well as well. And the week after Black Friday, I helped my daughter, her friend, and her friend's mom run a craft show at my daughter's home. It was, instead of having a social is something that we do here in Manitoba before weddings, and my daughter is getting married next year. So instead of doing that for a fundraiser, we did a craft sale. And my daughter and her friend have a little business of them for themselves, and they don't have an Etsy shop yet. And I've been asking them, they really should open up an Etsy shop. Right now they just have a Facebook page, and I'll be sure to link that in the description box below. And I'll show you in just a little bit what I got from that craft sale as well, from the other vendors who were there. So we had a great time, but again, it was a lot of work. I also did some sewing for that sale as well, so it's been very, very busy. Also, speaking of my Etsy shop, I am currently running a sale from now until the end of the year. Everything in the shop is 20% off, so if you'd like to treat yourself to something, it would be a good time. I also have some new things that I've made for the shop. I don't know how soon I'm going to get them in, but if you follow me on Instagram, I'll announce when I update the shop as well with some of the new items that I'll show you later on in the episode. Okay, let's see. The next thing I wanted to share with you is something that arrived in the mail just after my last episode. If you saw my last episode, I mentioned that I was doing a swap in the Oloops Harry Potter Cal with one other member that is in the knit along as well. And I was paired up with Tanya, that's Dark Path 30 on Ravelry, and she lives in Montreal. And it was great to swap packages with her. What it was called was the favorite characters swap. So we each chose one of our favorite characters in Harry Potter, and we tried to send the other person something related to their favorite character. And she chose Snape, so I had a lot of fun putting a package together for her, and I think I showed that on the last episode. And just after I recorded, her package arrived for me. So I thought I would share that with you today. She totally spoiled me. I chose as my favorite character Hedwig the Owl. I know, not a big surprise to a lot of people. So she sent me a lot of owl related things. And Marliesha, you're going to be so jealous. I'm sorry, but there's going to be a lot of owl merchandise here. So it's great to finally be able to share this with you, because now I can start using some of these things. So, of course, you know, choosing an owl, she sent me even a card with owls on the front. And one of the first items I saw in the box was this super cute owl mug, this ceramic mug. So I thought that was just so adorable, and I can't wait to start using that. Well, Tanya, thank you so much. It's so cute. I love it. So let's see some of the other items that she sent. This 3D printed Harry Potter cookie cutter. That is so very cool. She just like totally spoiled me with all kinds of things. Knitter's Pride. This is a needle view sizer, so that is awesome. I know that I'm going to have great use with that. And these are neat. She sent me these Project Talkers, and these are stitch markers with sayings on them, words on them, so that you can put them in particular places in your knitting to remind you to do certain things, you know, like purl, or it says bottom, small, there's all kinds of words, center, medium, so yeah, all kinds of things. That'll be interesting to use those stitch markers in my projects. She also sent all kinds of mini skeins, beautiful, beautiful yarn to try out that I haven't tried before. This is some Blue Moon Fiber Arts. Some of them aren't labeled, but yeah, some of them are just like, they're all just so beautiful, and they're all sparkly, so very beautiful. Let's see. She's also spoiled me with, of course, Gryffindor pin and some owl stitch markers. Beautiful silver toned. Let's see, what else did she send? Oh, of course, swap package wouldn't be complete without something sweet, and she knew that I love dark chocolate. And this is interesting because it's chili dark chocolate. It says dark chocolate with natural chili flavor. I've never had that before, so that'll be interesting to try. And you know how hard it was not to get into this before I showed it to you, but now I can. Let's see, what else? Of course, tea, and she sent me some Gryffindor tea, so that's awesome. I can't wait to try that out as well. And let's see, I've got a whole box here of things. Some buttons, some platform 9 3/4 button. I'll have to find a neat spot for that. Some pumpkin spice tea. I think I might take that to work to have. And this is a really nice button by Yellow Citrons. And it's a Gryffindor button. It's got Hedwig on it. So it's really cute. Perfect. And of course, oh, now she sent me some items that I didn't even think about sending in my swap package. She sent me some knitted items that she made herself. So she sent me a beautiful owl ornament. So cute. I love the way you can make an owl out of cable stitches. So that, a lightning bolt, so for Harry, of course, and also a really cute owl stuffy, and it's so soft, so adorable. Thank you so much, Tanya. I really love all of those things. And then she also found a beautiful project bag. It's just perfect. It's even got the golden snitch on it, and it's got the sorting hat and owls and brooms and cauldrons and books, textbooks and wands, potion bottles. I mean, it's just perfect, and I can hardly wait to start using this for some more Harry Potter projects. So beautiful. And then of course she sent yarn, and she sent 2 different kinds, and this first one is so neat. It comes in its own yarn bowl. This is from Dun Roving Yarns, and it's a beautiful purple and green skein of yarn, and it has a hole in the bottom of the yarn bowl here, so you can just pull it out. It's all ready to go. So what I did was I opened it up just so you could see it a little bit better. Isn't that beautiful? I had the tag on exactly what yarn this was, but unfortunately I don't have it in front of me right now. But yeah, really, really beautiful. So I'll have to choose a really nice project to make out of that. And the last is a beautiful skein of O-Loops yarn, and she knows me so very well. She knows my favorite color is teal, and so she sent me this skein of Professor Severus Snape, and that is just beautiful, Tanya. This is Lydia's Perfection Knot fingering weight yarn, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards. Incredible. So Tanya, I'm so very lucky to have been paired with you. I hope you enjoyed my swap package as much as I enjoyed yours. It's just awesome. Thank you so much for all the goodies. Oh, there's one thing I forgot. It's still in the box here. And this is wonderful because this is an item that I was very close to purchasing myself on Amazon, and I didn't. And here I found it in the swap package from her, and that's a Gryffindor journal. I just love it. So I haven't even opened it yet. It's a ruled pocket journal, and I'm sure I'm going to get lots of use out of that. As I said, I almost purchased this myself, so this was awesome to find in the swap package. So many wonderful things, Tanya. Thank you so very much. So yeah, that was great. Now I can finally use all of those items now that I've shown it to you. Okay, the next things that I wanted to share with you today are a couple of acquisitions that I treated myself to. Back in 2014, I was still doing more text blogging than I was doing video. And while blogging, I made a lot of other blogger friends. And one of them is Sarah from Kentucky. She runs Equinox Farm, and that's a sheep farm down in Kentucky. And it's so great to see all her beautiful photographs that she puts on her blog of everyday life at her farm. And I will make sure that I link her blog in the description box below, because you really should visit. She has some incredible stories to tell and beautiful, beautiful photographs. And so every year she puts out a calendar, and I always try to grab myself a couple, and I thought I'd share them with you. So Punkin's Patch is what she calls her blog, and it's also called myfavoritesheep.com. And on there she takes some of her favorite photographs that she's taken over the past year and puts them into calendars. So I was very lucky to be able to snag both the Lamb Camp 2018 and the Equinox Farm 2018 calendar. And I would highly recommend you checking these out. Her photography is beautiful. I mean, life on her farm, I just want to go live there. It's just so beautiful. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to using these next year. Lamb Camp is so cute. You know, she's just got the cutest photos. And so, yeah, if you're interested in getting these, I don't know how many she has, if she still has them in stock. I know sometimes she sells out of these, but as I said, I'll link this, link her blog below. So if you'd like to visit, her blog is incredible. I would highly recommend, if you'd like to see some beautiful images of a working sheep farm, please visit. Sarah's an incredible person, and she's the one who introduced me to Ravelry many years ago, back in 2014. I think it was for the Ravelinics. She was putting together a team for her group on Ravelry and asked anybody else would be interested. And so I thought I would, check it out and see what it was about. And since then, I've been obviously addicted to knitting and Ravelry. So thank you so much, Sarah, for opening that whole new world to me. And I know I'm going to enjoy these calendars for the next year very, very much. So let's see. The other thing that happened over the last couple of weeks is I was contacted and tagged by Marlisha of the Pen, Hook and Needles podcast to participate in a questionnaire, getting to know you questionnaire that many podcasters have been doing over the last little while. So I told her I would answer the questions from this questionnaire on today's episode. So basically they're questions to podcasters. I think there's about 20 questions that I'll go through pretty quickly. But if you've been around for a while, probably most of these won't be surprise to you. But if you're new, maybe it's a great way to learn something about me maybe that you didn't know. So first question that they ask is, who are you? Well, I'm obviously Maureen. I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. That's smack dab in the middle of Canada. Just north of North Dakota, Minnesota, Minneapolis. So yeah, we're not too far from there. And I've lived here all my life. When or why did you start knitting, crocheting, spinning, or weaving? Well, I started in 2014 when my daughter asked if I'd like to go with her to some knitting classes at Wolseley Wool. So we went there. I had knit a little bit before, but always just something flat, like I did a blanket or maybe a few scarves. But I'd never learned to knit in the round, and I really wanted to be able to make a toy. So we took some classes for a few weeks, once a week in the evenings together, and it was great fun. So ever since then, we've both been quite addicted to knitting. What is your favorite or proudest make? And this was kind of hard, but I think It has to be a toy. I enjoy doing toys probably the best. And I think one of the proudest things I did was being able to either create a design myself or modify an existing design. So, for example, I made my Hedwig owl up there basically from my own imagination, from scratch. And then the other item, the other toy that I'm really proud of is taking a toy bear pattern and converting it into a lion. And this was one of the first things that I ever did, take a pattern and change it up to make it mine. And this was my butterscotch, the lion that I did quite a few years ago. And it's made from, starting with the Bakery Bears, Mr. Bakery Bear pattern. And then I converted it into a lion. And of course, he's wearing his Gryffindor scarf today. But yeah, I was really thrilled with the way he turned out. And since then, I really enjoy revising patterns to make them my own. So I would say he's probably my proudest make. So let's see, the next question. What is your most disastrous make? Well, that's pretty easy. A few years back on the podcast, I even talk about this. I attempted to do a shawl in a feather and fan pattern. And obviously I wasn't at the right level of knitting to be able to do that properly, because no matter what I did, I don't know how many times I screwed up that pattern. I had to rip it out probably 4 times before I finally gave up and frogged the whole thing. And since then, I don't think I've ever been attracted to any other feather and fan project or pattern in Ravelry. So yeah, that was one thing. It didn't matter how many times I tried that. I would never get the correct number of stitches. And I'm sure it wasn't the pattern. I'm sure it was just my inexperience in doing that. So ever since then, I've been adverse to doing anything feather and fan since then. The next question, do you have a favorite place to buy yarn or fiber, online or local? Well, local, we're very lucky to have Wolseley Wool as our local yarn shop. It's great to have the opportunity to go in and touch and feel the yarn before you buy it and see the colors in person. But of course, I love getting yarn from independent dyers like Marlisha with her Lady Fernaco creations, of course, to Lisa at Fibernymph, all kinds of Etsy sellers or independent yarn dyers. I love trying new ones. So I would say both online and local. It's nice to try out all kinds. Let's see, what's your most used or most loved pattern? And that was an easy one for me, vanilla socks. I think I've done more socks than anything else. And a few years back when I started doing socks, I started doing the pattern socks. And I mostly fell out of loving those kinds of patterns, especially using variegated or striped yarn. I prefer doing just plain vanilla socks to really show the yarn. They're easy to do. It's a nice lunchtime project to do. And so I developed or revised my own vanilla sock pattern to fit my own feet. So yeah, I enjoy doing that the best. And since doing, the heel flap and gusset, I've done more of the German short row heel now. So that's my go-to now. Vanilla sock with a short row German short row heel. So let's see. What's your most dreaded knitted, crocheting, or spinning task? And that again was a simple one for me. Making gauge swatches. I hate doing gauge swatches. It's because I'm impatient. And if I decide to do a project, I just want to start. I want to get it on the needles and see some progress. So to me, gauge swatches is just delaying that anticipation or that sense of accomplishment. I know it has to be done for things like sweaters and that to be to fit properly, and they definitely would save a lot of work and time so I can see it for those. And I've only done them a few times for my cardigans, but for anything else, I do not do. I totally ignore gauge swatches because most things I make don't require them. So that's a good thing. Maybe that's why I like toys, because it really doesn't matter. Let's see, my favorite task is picking yarn for a project. I love having a stock of my own yarn stash to be able to go in and choose a yarn and a pattern to match them up. Sometimes I don't do a great job, I will admit, but sometimes I really like the way the pattern and the yarn play together. So it is nice having my own little stash to dive into and choose for a particular project. Let's see, what's my favorite crafty entertainment? Well, I have to say podcasts. Podcasts or TV shows. I will binge watch a whole series of shows like Outlander or Stranger Things, that kind of thing, on my computer while I knit here in my studio. But of course, I also watch a lot of YouTube podcasts and other shows as well. So yeah, that's an easy one. The next question, for patterns, do you prefer books, magazines, Ravelry, or would you rather make up your own? For patterns, of course, I love going to Ravelry, and I always tell people who aren't on Ravelry what the benefit of going. It's so many free patterns and very reasonably priced patterns as well. I mean, you can't beat it. It's a huge repository of talent there. But as I mentioned, I love to make up my own as well, or revise things a little bit when I can. What's my favorite brand of knitting needles or crochet hooks? And for spinning, what's my favorite wheel? Well, I don't do crochet, so for knitting, I love my carbons. I really love the feel of the shaft on them. They're nice and warm feeling, not like regular metal needles, but I do like the tip on them. They're just sharp enough for me, but not too sharp. I tend to push down, I know you're not supposed to, with my finger on the needle tips, and so the very sharp needles were painful to use when I tried them. So carbons are just right for me. What I did was I started out with a few fixed circulars to try them out, and when I knew I liked them, I invested in both sets of both the smaller and the larger sizes. So I have needles for almost any project in my stash waiting for me. So that's really nice to know that I'm not going to have to hunt around for needles, because I have multiple needle sizes, multiple cord lengths, and yeah, it's great. And as for spinning, of course, I started out with Turkish spindles, which were fun to get the feel of spinning. And when I knew I enjoyed it, then I progressed to purchasing my own Canadian production wheel, which is an antique wheel. It's over 100 years old, and I love using it. It's so fun to just use a tool that you know somebody else has used many years before you. So not only is it a great tool to make yarn with, it's also a beautiful decor in my Victorian studio as well. So yeah, that's a wonderful investment that I made there, and surprisingly much cheaper than modern wheels. And to me, I prefer the look of them so much more. So my favorite notion or tool, well, I'd have to say stitch markers, progress keepers, of course. But also I enjoy sewing up DPN holders. Whenever I make myself a project bag, I will make sure that I try to make sure, if I have any fabric left over, to make a DPN holder. And they're so very easy to use or to make. I'll link a video in the notes below on the video that I refer to when I make these up. They're so easy to do. And even though I don't use DPNs, I never have, I just use the circulars. This is great for circular needles as well, for holding them, keeping your project safe and intact. So as I said, they're so easy to use. I will link the video below. Even though it's not in English. She has English subtitles. I think it's all in just text on the screen because I can't remember if it was Dutch or something that the video was done in, but very easy to follow along, and I was surprised how easy these are to make. So yeah, I really enjoy having some of those in every project bag that I have. Let's see, my current favorite project. Well, I really don't have one right now. I'm hoping after I finish my cowl to once again participate in Little Bobbins, if she's holding it, the Christmas Eve cast on, and that's usually where people cast on socks. And so I have a few skeins of yarn that I'd like to use for socks this year. I have to choose which one I'm going to create my Christmas socks out of, but I'm hoping, 2 weeks today is Christmas Eve, and I'm hoping to cast on some socks for that. So that will be my favorite project for this month, I'm sure. My favorite place to knit, crochet, or spin in public. Well, I really don't. The closest thing I come to knitting in public is taking my knitting to work. But because I have my own office and a closed door, pardon me, I can just knit at my lunch hour with my door closed. That's pretty much the closest I get to knitting in public. What's your favorite fiber arts book? Well, I have a couple of books, but to be honest, I don't use them very much. But what I do like referring to is my Ply magazine. And that's a spinning magazine that started back in 2013. And thanks to Marlicia, she gave me this first issue after I had the first few issues from 2 on. I wasn't able to find the first issue, and she had it and was so very kind to send it to me. So I have the entire series of Ply magazines, and I really love these. It's really a lot of great articles in here and wonderful photography as well. So I would say that's more than books I would use. And I really haven't got a lot of knitting magazines. I think the only ones I've ever had were ones that maybe hubby had picked up for me for a gift or something. So yeah, so the next question is, do I have any other hobbies? Well, yeah, if you've been around for a while, you know I love to do any kind of fine art, painting, sculpting, drawing, but I also like to sew as well. So it's nice to be able to use all of those different hobbies in with my knitting as well. So, and that's why I really love it that the Etsy shop is doing so well, because I really enjoy creating for that. If I could meet anyone in the fiber arts community, who would that be? Well, I'd love to meet all my knitting friends in real life, especially, of course, the ladies at Pen Hook and Needles, Marlicia and Talia, and of course Davina too. And also I'd like to meet Vani, our moderator, of course, and other people that I've met through Pen Hook and Needles, especially like Valeria and Sue. That would be awesome to meet in real life. A couple of podcasters I'd love to meet are 2 Lisas. Lisa at Fibernymph Dyeworks, or the 90% Knitting podcast. She makes me laugh so much. I'd love to meet her in real life, as well as Lisa, Saratoga Knitting, at the Knitting by the Sea podcast. We both have a combined love of Harry Potter, so I think it would be really cool to meet her in real life as well. So I think meeting knitters in real life, any knitters in real life, would be pretty awesome. And so the last couple of questions are really quick. Knit or crochet? Knit. Weave or spin? Spin. Color or neutrals? Neutrals. I love grays and browns and creams. And the last question, sweater or socks? And it has to be socks. So yeah, thank you so much, Marlicia, for tagging me with this. I guess I'm supposed to tag somebody else. I don't know if you've already been tagged, Lisa at Knitting by the Sea podcast. I know Lisa at Fibernymph Dyeworks has already done this. But Saratoga Knitting, Saratoga Knitter, if you would like to do this, if you haven't already, I would love to hear your questions, so I will PM you on Ravelry to see if you'd like to participate. It was a lot of fun, so thank you, Marlicia, and I hope you enjoyed hearing my answers. Okay, so before we get to the prizes, one last thing I wanted to share was some sculpting that I've been doing for my shop. I haven't been doing a whole lot because I have been restocking things that you've seen before, but there are a couple of new items that I'll be adding to the shop. When I do, I'll post it on Instagram, so if you don't follow me yet, on Instagram, do so if you want to be kept abreast of updates to my Etsy shop. So the couple of things that I tried over the last couple of weeks, I'll be adding in soon. And I got this made this nice little tray for the craft show recently, so I thought this would be a good thing to put my new charms on. This little bird I found in a little antique store, and so I just attached it to an antique tray and then spray painted them all gold and then highlighted them with some black, so to make it antique looking. So this is my new little tray, my new old little tray. So the first thing that I wanted to share with you that I've made recently are some little miniature peaches in bottles. It's kind of like canned peaches. And this was a tutorial I found on YouTube, so it's not my idea. I'm not taking credit for the idea at all, but it was a lot of fun to do. You basically make the peach halves in polymer clay first and bake them. I used pastels to paint them as well to make them look more realistic. And then I had a bunch of these little bottles that I had ordered quite a while ago and hadn't used yet. You throw the peach halves in, there's 10 in each one, and then you use epoxy to make it look like they're, in a brine or whatever, and or a syrup. And then I made my own gingham material for the top just by using Copic marker on some plain white material. So I got a very small pattern gingham for the top with a little bit of twine, topped inside with a cork, and then of course the jewelry findings. So I made 10 of these. And what I usually do whenever I make something new, I will keep one myself and give one to my daughter. So there'll be 8 going up in the shop, I believe, sometime soon. So yeah, so I'll have pictures at the end, obviously, so that you can see how these were made, as I usually do. So I know it's harder to see on the video. So those were a lot of fun to make. Some other stitch markers that I made up actually for the Gryffindor, I think it was Quidditch. We were asked to do something, I think, in gold. And so I had these little baubles that I had purchased from my miniature sweet supplier over in, I think she's in Hong Kong. One of the items I wanted to try out were these little balls that are hollow, and then they had these toppers that you glue onto them. And because we had to do something in gold, all I did was put gold glitter in there and then colored the tops gold because they were silver, and then just added some jewelry findings on those for some stitch markers. I don't think I'm going to be putting these in the shop because they're not polymer clay, but they were a nice project to do for points at Gryffindor House again. So those were fun. But the last items I did want to show you today are some sculpting that I've started, kind of a new feature that I'll be adding to the shop soon. I'm just waiting for some supplies to come from Thailand. What I've sent away for is a bunch of ceramic miniature plates. They're the dollhouse size, the 1/12 scale. So I wanted to try some things though before they arrived. I'm still waiting for them to come. So I went to Michael's and found in their dollhouse section some plates, but they aren't as big as the plates that I really want to get. The ones that are coming are larger than this. So these are the plates that came in at Michael's. And what I did was I tried making some meals. This is a pancake dinner or breakfast. So I was inspired by an email I got from IHOP recently. We have IHOP now in Winnipeg, so daughter and I love going there. So they had this pancake stack with strawberries and whipped cream, so I thought I would try my hand at that. Again, I'll show pictures at the end of the episode so you can see them better. But these are a stack of 3 pancakes, some syrup and butter, 3 strawberries, and a dollop of whipped cream on there with a little fork embedded into the dinner. So these are all on regular findings, so they're all sealed and all protected. So yeah, those will be added to the shop soon as well. So yeah, I'm gonna once I get those plates, I'm gonna try doing more like dinner type of offerings, like maybe lunches, like sandwiches or subs, or maybe burgers, or kind of spaghetti meals, or something really fun to actually make charms out of. So that will be fun to do. So in 2018, I'm hoping to add those to the shop as well. So let's see, that brings me to the drawings. There's three different items that I wanted to draw for today. The first one is the ebook that was so generously donated by my friend Susan, Tall Polish Girl on Ravelry, who has a pattern with the skein ebook, and her pattern is for some beautiful lace socks called the Fair Maid, and she was so very kind to donate a copy of this ebook to the members of the podcast group. So I closed the thread, I locked the thread earlier today, and went to random.org to draw the winner for that. So random.org chose between post 2 and number 21, and chose post number 12. And the winner is A Bit Naughty, and that's Denise. So Denise, congratulations, you've won the ebook. Just get a hold of me and let me know you've seen this, and then I get Susan to gift that to you. So Susan, again, thank you so very much for your generous donation to the podcast, and congratulations, Denise. The next two drawings I wanted to do were for the knit-alongs. So for the first one, for the Harry Potter knit-along, even though it's not the end of the year yet, when I'll be doing the large drawings of yarn and bags and that kind of thing, I wanted to give away a couple of small things for the end of the month. So I went to random.org again and chose or inputted post number 2 to 2,655. And that went until November 30th, and chose two winners from random.org. So the first winner that was chosen was for a $10 or less, US or less, Ravelry giftable pattern, and the winner of that is post number 2559, the Sticky Stitch, and that's Ish. And so Ish, congratulations. You've won a pattern of your choice from Ravelry for $10 US or less. Let me know what that is, and I'll gift that to you. And the second prize is for a Philosopher's Stone stitch marker progress keeper set that I made up. And so the winner of this is post number 1694, Ms. Melody. So congratulations. Let me know when you've seen this, and I'll be sure to get that out to you in the mail. So as I said, at the end of December, midnight on the 31st, I will lock the thread for the 2017 Cal, and then the first episode after that, I will announce all the final winners of 2017, and then we'll continue on with second year for 2018. So congratulations to those winners. As well, today I wanted to draw for 3 prizes for the toy knit-along. And so for October and November's entries in that thread is post number 2 to 212. And so random.org again chose 3 winners. The first prize is for a US $10 or less Ravelry giftable pattern. And the winner of that is post number 185, Heidi Packy Knits. Congratulations, Heidi. When you decide what pattern you would like, let me know, and I'll gift that to you. So congrats. The second prize for the toy knit-along is a charm from my Etsy shop. So one charm of your choice. And that goes to post number 129, TD Brace, and that's Tess. So congratulations, Tess. Go to my shop, it's linked below, and let me know which charm you'd like me to send you. And the last prize that's been drawn for today is for a project bag, and this is one of my birds project bag. It's fairly thick with stuffing, and it's got a matching bird names liner to it. It's got a nice long handle. And the winner of this is post number 19, and that's Franciscan Gypsy Talia. Talia, you won one of my bags. And as if you don't have enough bags, I know they're always showing their multiple bags on the PHN podcast, but congratulations, your name came up to win the bag today. So I hope you enjoy having that. When you see this, let me know and get me your address so I can send this off to you. So congratulations to all the winners today. And the last thing I wanted to show you before I go is some of the items that I treated myself to at the craft show. So as I mentioned before, we had this craft show at my daughter's home in support of her getting married next year. And so it was a great success. It was a lot of fun. It was an invite only because it was at her home. It was done through Facebook by invitation. So considering that, it was a wonderful turnout, and they really did well. So my daughter and her friend have a business called M is for Magpie. I will link their Facebook page below because they don't yet have an Etsy shop, even though I've told them they have to open one because they have beautiful items for sale, and I'll show you a few of those in just a second. Also, her friend's mother did some sewing for it as well, and I made sure that I bought something from her as well. So what I wanted to share with you, I had my charms there, of course, but also a few days before the sale, I thought I would sew up a few bottle bags, and these are great for the holiday season as well as any time. I think this fabric I had in my stash works for either men or women for the holidays or not. So it was really easy to make these up. They've got a box bottom, but these are great for wine bottles or any kind of spirits that you want to give away for gifts. So I made a few of these up, and of course I had to keep a couple for myself to give away during the holidays as well. One of the items I got from my daughter's friend are some of these great wood coasters, and these are made from naturally fallen trees. They don't cut down any trees to get these. So she makes these up. They're beautifully finished. They have cork on the bottom, so I really wanted to get myself a set of 4 of these coasters. I think they're so nice. Love that they're natural wood, and you know, they're not impacting the environment. They're using trees that have already fallen in the forest, so that was great. So her mother makes beautiful items. She had a whole bunch of baby items, but also some of these pampering items, and of course I had to get this one with all the lace on it, so very appropriate for my Victorian studio. And what this is a lavender scented eye pillow with removable cover. So inside there's, I believe, rice and lavender in there, and you just heat it up in the microwave and then put it on your eyes. I can hardly wait to try that out. I think it would be just smell and feel wonderful. So that's pretty cool. And then daughter did a few different items. She did some jewelry, she did some paper items, and also sewed up some bags. So I got, she did a class in calligraphy, so I got some gift tags from her. I know they're going to come in handy in the next couple of days, so I got those. She has these beautiful bracelets that are made with various beads, but some of them are lava beads, and she was pairing them up with some essential oils that you just use a very little bit on the lava beads, and they soak up that oil so that it smells so very nice. So yeah, really love the essential oils on that. Beautiful, beautiful bracelet. So I treated myself to that. And of course, also I had to get a couple of her bags. You saw one of her bags earlier in one of my projects. She gave me this one she made me for Mother's Day. So this is one of 2 that she made. So her work is so awesome. My mom did a lot of sewing, and because my daughter spent a lot of time with her when she was growing up, they took care of her when I went back to work, when she wasn't in school. So she got lots of instruction in sewing, and she's put it to good use, I tell you. She's made some beautiful, beautiful bags. So I snagged a couple of holiday-themed ones from her. I love the pattern on this. It looks like knitted fabric. And then also this Christmas one. And I mean, they're so well made. And she has these beautiful M is for Magpie tags and beautiful coordinating fabric on the inside, as well as this one. So these will make great notions bags in my knitting bags as well. These would be great for makeup bags or anything else as well. So yeah, I love these. And then at the end of the show, she gifted me one of the bags she had on her display, and she said she purposely bought this material because she knows how much I love deers. Every year for Christmas, I try to collect another deer for our tree. So I have our tree filled with all kinds of different deer. And she got this beautiful deer fabric that's holiday themed. Beautiful bag that she gifted me. So she put from Santa to Mom. So it's beautiful. And again, the inside is so beautiful. So thank you so much, sweetheart. I really wish you would open up an Etsy shop. So here's hoping that they do. And I know that she'd do really well because her stuff is beautiful. So I think that's all I have to share with you this week. I know it was a lot because it's been a while since I recorded. I probably won't record again until after the new year. So I'll have more information on the continuing year 2 of the Harry Potter knit-along. At that time, I'll draw for prizes for the 2017 knit-along. I'll also have final prizes for the toy knit-along. And it'll be a busy time, but I'm really looking forward to it. I hope everyone out there has a wonderful holiday season. If you celebrate, I hope it's safe and relaxing and enjoyable with friends and family. So thank you so much for stopping by and visiting with me in my studio today. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I had to share, and I hope you return again to visit with me in my studio next time. Until then, bye-bye everyone, and happy holidays.